Now that I was standing in front of the adult version of Amara and she looks just like Emily Swallow from the Supernatural TV series, I had to admit that I am very sexually attracted to her on a cellular level, and every part of me wants to have sex with her and to make love to her. And then Amara said, "You're sexually attracted to me and you're aroused, I can feel it." And then I said, "You're very beautiful, but I don't think this is a good idea, Amara. You want to be with me for the wrong reasons, I think." And then I asked her a serious question: "Is this about your brother? Because I can promise you that he's not the problem, not yet anyway. See, I know everything that will happen in the future, and I know that soon you and I will be married and you will have my children, but for all the right reasons someday soon, and I think you know that, my love." And I smiled at her warmly and I said, "I'm not your enemy and I don't want nothing to do with this fight between your brother and the Winchesters, simply because I know that you will win anyway, but you don't have to kill your brother like that pathetic Cain did to Abel. You're better than Cain and you're better than your brother." And then she said, "But you and I can stop them from whatever they are planning." And then I said, "So you don't know? Chuck must be blocking you somehow, how interesting." And then she said, "That's why I need you. You already know what will happen, don't you?" And then I said, "Of course I know everything. When I took Lucifer's powers and the dream powers, I took all the powers I ever needed in this world. I see it all, Amara, and I know if I tell you what will happen, you will hurt so many innocent people, and I just can't allow that, because I am a hero, not a murderer, and I'm also a true warrior, and I earned my strength with my will alone, so I will never show you the future because that kind of knowledge doesn't belong to you yet. I'm sorry, but I can't help you." And then she said, "I understand," and then she binded me with chains that are unbreakable. And then I asked her, "What are you doing?" "No, please don't." And then she said, "You can't break these chains even with your unlimited strength surpassing God's." And then I said to her, "Don't do this, Amara, this is wrong and you know it." And then she said, "Beings like me don't care about right and wrong, you will learn that soon enough." And then I asked her, "What are you going to do to me?" And then she smiled and said, "What I know you already wanted to do." And then she teleported me to a very nice bedroom with a big bed and she said, "Now strip. Take off your clothes, Mike." And then I said, "Okay, just don't do anything bad to me, please." And then she said, "I never wanted to force you into anything, you're making me do this by choosing a side." And then I said, "Have chosen no sides, I am neutral in this fight and I want no part of it, and it doesn't have to be this way, Amara. You can still choose to do the right thing, you don't have to kill Chuck and no one has to kill you either." And then Amara said, "Take off your clothes now and stop stalling for time." And then I said, "This is wrong and you know it, but I love you and I'm going to do what you want." And she cried and said, "But you won't help me, why?" And then I said, "Because I love you and I won't help you kill your brother or any of your other family members. You will regret it in the future and you will be consumed by sadness for what you did if you go through with it. And Chuck is a bastard, I'll admit that, but you're better than him. You can be better even though you have darkness in you. I know there's a light in there somewhere." And as I said all this, I took off all my clothes and then desire and arousal filled every part of Amara, and as I walked up to her, her heart beat faster, and then I kissed her passionately and I slowly made love to her in every sexual position, and I even gave her oral pleasure many times, and I massaged her beautiful body even while I was having sex with her. And she rode me slowly in the cowgirl position, and then in the reverse cowgirl position, and then in the side spooning position, and then the big dripper doggy style position, and then missionary, and then the last position was the doggy style position. I made love to her in every sexual position for many hours, and then finally I came inside her vagina after what seemed like thousands of years, and then she sucked my penis really slowly and it felt so good I couldn't help but have an orgasm, and I also moaned loudly. And then I came in her mouth and she swallowed all my cum, and she continued making love to me for what seemed like many days or even years, and it all ended with me massaging her beautiful body. And then finally we slept together and I spooned her and I held her waist gently, and then she said, "So this is what true love feels like. It felt so good making love to him," she said. "Now I finally understand why humans love having sex so much. I've been missing out." And I was peacefully smiling while I was sleeping, and then she used her magic so I can't leave her room.